Good afternoon. This is Brian Shannon speaking. Today is Wednesday, May 10th, and we just finished up the session. What I'm going to do today is kind of give a wrap up and update positions that I've mentioned over the last day or two, and then later on this evening, I'm going to put together another video with new ideas. I think that'll make things a little bit easier to manage here. Seems that I'm kind of rushing myself and starting to run out of time when I produce these videos. Anyways, here's a chart, daily chart of the Qs, the QQQQ. And again, the market, the Nasdaq continues to be in this intermediate term downtrend with these lower highs and lower lows. Now let's see if this 41.28 level from about a week and a half ago can hold up. Otherwise, it's going to make a lower low, and that's obviously not going to be very good for the market. SMH, the semis are breaking down pretty substantially in here. I would keep an eye on that group tomorrow, just to see what happens in there. We had mentioned yesterday gold shares, and gold continues this big ascent, running over anyone that tries to short it in here. It seems, big powerful uptrends like this. Look how it's hugging this 10-day moving average. It'll most likely experience some pullbacks, down towards that 10 and even 20-day moving average, but stay away from the short side. I had mentioned a couple small gold stocks. The first one I had mentioned yesterday was Canyon Resources. Canyon Resources, if you look at the weekly chart, I was looking for the stock to move up to about $1.25, $1.30. I did not expect it to happen all in one day, but hopefully some of you were able to participate in that. Stock still acts real strong here. Big, nice, big green candle. Look at that volume there today. Just an excellent move, stair-stepping higher all day. If you're in this one, I'd say, put your stop under this 122 level. You don't want to give back much of those profits if you've got them. GSS was the other one, other small one. I'd mentioned that, really needs to get above $4 a share to get going, and I still believe that. Added a few pennies to itself today. IM Gold didn't really do much of anything. The stock does hold up well here, and continues to look bullish, and obviously it should be when you've got gold soaring the way it is. Even though gold is up, and even silver, we've only got a short chart here. That is, we only have a small history of the silver ETF. You can't expect just to make money in anything silver. Look at this. You would expect a company with the name Silver, Apex Silver Mines, would just be able to get anything right. There's obviously something wrong with this company. I'd stay away from stocks like that. DV, I had mentioned yesterday that it needed to get above 25.50. The stock didn't do that, so continue to keep that on your radar. Maybe set an alert above the 25.50 level. But for now, it looks like there's sellers in there, and it's probably actually 25.40 or so where I would set that alert once we drill down a little bit further and we can see with a little more clarity exactly where those sellers have shown up. It's been that 25.40 level, as we can see on the 5-minute chart. Let's take a look now at IWOV. IWOV needed to get above $10 a share, we were talking about yesterday. Stock has not been able to do that. It made a lower low today. I'd stay away from IWOV. Scratch that one off the list. Now you can learn a lesson from my mistake. I'd mentioned yesterday that Boots and Coots looked good. The stock did have a nice constructive pattern, but I had made two mistakes here. Number one, I said I cheated and bought early. This shows you what happens when you buy early. It's similar to buying the stock we just looked at, DeVry. If we had mentioned it, bought it before the buyers took control at 25.50. I bought this stock before the buyers took control by pushing the stock above this high over here at 25.30. $2.35. Mistake number one. Mistake number two, I didn't realize the company had earnings due out. Now, I always check. Whenever I hold a stock overnight, I always check to see if there are earnings due out, and I did check for Boots and Coots, but the source that I looked at said not available, and I lazily decided not to check the company's website and see, but if I had checked their website, I could have seen there. So always do your homework, especially during earnings seasons, because you don't want this to happen to you, obviously. This is not the type of situation you want to be in. I got out of it today. I had held actually through this little sell-off, and then got out on the bounce up here near 210 and up near 213 on part of it. Point is, the stock's busted. I don't want to have anything to do with this. Sometimes it hurts to take that loss, But rather than sit with this thing and look at it in my account over the next day, week, month, whatever it is, continuing to hope that it comes back, I'd rather suffer the immediate pain, and rather than prolong it, I'd rather just rip that Band-Aid off, take all the little hairs with it. It's going to hurt, but at least I'm not going to sit there and pull it off slowly and suffer with each time a little hair is pulled off with it. To make an analogy, maybe a stupid analogy, but anyway, Cena Corp. I'd said maybe if it gets above 29, you want to pull it, and it runs, buy it on a pullback towards that 29. Well, the stock completely fell apart. This stock also off the list, done with it, at least for now. It needs to do some healing. TTEC, stock continues to behave well. I would say if you're in this one, put your stop maybe under this low here at about 1352. RNWK, I'd suggest a stop in there at 1055. So if you're in this one, probably should have taken your profits and time to move on to something else. UTSI, also I'd suggested a stop near 740. That should probably be gone as well. Finally, last stock that we spoke of was the CWPC, the CanWest Petroleum. This was our bulletin board company that does oil, tar sands, that is. I'd suggested a stop near 8. Realistically, when you look at this thing, when you're short-term trading, look at the 5-minute chart, what's the definition of an uptrend? The definition of an uptrend is higher highs and higher lows. So when we're looking at it from a short-term standpoint, we should be setting our stops under these successively higher lows. You shouldn't still be in this thing with a stop at 8 is my point. Once it breaks down there, that tells you it's time to go. So that's going to wrap it up for now. I guess I had actually one other short that I had mentioned yesterday. It was that MNTA that I had mentioned 2 days ago. I'd suggested lowering your stop. And if you're not stopped out of this one, I would say your stop goes just above 15, which is where I think I had suggested it yesterday. This is Brian Shannon speaking. Again, I will be back later this evening with some new ideas for tomorrow. Let's see what happens with this market. I am somewhat concerned about the persistent weakness in the Qs. Today we had another blow up in the NASDAQ 100, Teva Pharmaceutical. It seems like every day things are blowing up in the NASDAQ, and they're just and they're not bouncing, and that's really reason for concern on the NASDAQ 100. So we'll keep an eye on what happens in there. Look for leadership, maybe on the downside from the semiconductors as well. So again, I'll be back later this evening. Thanks for your time, and talk to you later.